We're going to go through the DBT distraction skill. This falls under distress tolerance. The acronym that you can use for distraction is ACCEPTS. When explaining this to clients, sometimes it's helpful that we need to press pause at times. So maybe we're getting stuck in our emotions, it feels like our wheels are stuck in the mud, or we're a hamster on a hamster wheel, just kind of feeling the same emotion over and over and over again. Sometimes we need to press pause and go do something different and come back to the emotion when our emotional thermometer feels a little bit more cool. So if I was an 8 out of 10 for emotional intensity, I might think I need to pause for a second, go and distract, and come back and deal with things when I'm maybe a 5 out of 10. So I can do that by using the ACCEPTS acronym, which gives us 7 different ways to distract from our intense emotions. So the first one is activities. Activities could be things that we like to do, could be something new that we're learning, or it could be something that holds our attention for a short period of time while we distract from our intense emotions. If it's something we like doing, we're going to throw ourselves into that thing and do it, and it'll hold our attention. If it's something new that we're learning, it accesses a part of our brain that can hold our attention. And if someone's having a hard time coming up with an idea of how they want to distract, you can always use the big list of pleasurable activities to give that person some ideas of what they might do to distract. The C stands for contributing. Some people benefit from distracting by contributing to someone else. I often remind clients that we don't want to do this all the time because our own emotions might feel neglected, but sometimes it's helpful to contribute to someone else when I'm stuck in my own emotional intensity. So maybe I pay it forward, maybe I pay for the person's Tim Hortons order that was behind me in the drive-through lineup. Maybe I write someone a card, or I bake someone something. Anything to focus on someone else so that I can focus less on myself for a few minutes to get unstuck from my emotions. The second C is comparisons. Sometimes our emotions benefit from being compared. So that comparison might sound like, I'm doing a lot better now than I was 10 years ago. Maybe the comparison is that my neighbor's going through a really hard time and I'm not the only one suffering. If we do this too often, our own emotions might feel neglected, dismissed, or invalidated, but every once in a while it can be helpful to do a comparison as a way of becoming unhooked or unstuck from our intense emotions. The E stands for opposite emotion. Emotion is the E, and sometimes we need to do the opposite of what our emotions are telling us to do. So maybe if I'm feeling really down and low, I feel like staying in bed all day. I want to pull the covers over my head, disconnect from people, not answer my phone, close the blinds, make it really dark, and just kind of isolate and hide from the world. But my low feelings actually need me to reach out, to go get some sunshine, to see other people, talk to other people. And this can help with my feeling low. So sometimes we need to do the opposite of what our emotions are telling us to do. The P stands for pushing away. This can involve using imagery. So maybe when I'm stuck in my intense emotions, I'm noticing that I'm on that hamster wheel, or wheels are stuck in the mud, and I'm ruminating and really stuck in my emotions. And a good way to separate from those emotions for a short period of time until I feel ready to come back to them is to use some imagery. So maybe I build a wall around my emotions, kind of leave them behind that wall for a short period of time. Maybe I write them down on a piece of paper, put them in a drawer, close the drawer, and come back to it when I'm ready to deal with it. Maybe I shelve them. I put them on a shelf with a timer, and I come back to the shelf when I feel ready or when the timer has gone off. Just getting creative around using imagery to set our emotions aside for a short amount of time. The T stands for thoughts. Sometimes when we get stuck in intense emotions, our thoughts start spiraling and we start thinking the same thing over and over and over again, and sometimes these thoughts can be destructive. So we need to find ways to distract from our thoughts. So we might do this by thinking about something else. We might go journal or write about something else. Or maybe we practice an exercise that helps us to ground. One of the ways that we can do this is with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise that you'll see in another video. Lots of different ways to distract from our ruminating or stuck thoughts. And sometimes we use this with cravings or urges to use substances or gamble. So if someone is thinking about that substance or thinking about alcohol or gambling and they're feeding that thought, it often gets bigger. So what are ways that we can starve that thought? We need to distract from the thought. If we're feeding it, we might be thinking about it, picturing it, imagining it, dwelling on it, focusing on it. And distracting might be going and doing something completely different, like in the ACCEPTS acronym. And the final way of distracting might be with some sensations. So some people feel intense emotions in their bodies and need to find a way to distract physically. So if they're stuck in an intense emotion and they can't seem to get out of it, they may need something physical to help them change that emotion. So maybe it's a cold shower, maybe it's going for a jog, maybe it's smelling something really sharp like lemon or vinegar, maybe it's having an elastic band that they can flick on their wrist. Different ways to kind of shift how their body is feeling, and so that they can get unstuck or unhooked from those intense emotions. So the ACCEPTS acronym just helps us to explain distracting, which is a distress tolerance skill in DBT.